and welcome to My Left Ear. I'm Carrie Freeman, the writer, producer, director of My Left Ear. I do it all. And it is September 19th. What is it, Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. And I didn't write down the day, so, tell me if I'm wrong. It's Tuesday, I'm pretty sure. And this is video 173. My Left Ear is a left-leaning YouTube site where I do political commentary and I parse out highlights of the news, and I also do rune predictions on all the events and things that are going on. And so I disseminate, and then I talk about what I think you'd find interesting and what I find interesting. So far, so good. I'm coming up on 3 years. October 3rd will be 3 years. And I'm going to do a live feed for the first time on Saturday, October 7th. I don't have the time yet, but it will be in the morning Pacific time. I'll let you know. And when I'm not here, I call myself a change agent because I help people make changes in their lives, all kinds of changes. And I do that through hypnotherapy, which I've been doing for 20 years. And I did work 8 years at a drug and alcohol rehab facility, so I have a lot of experience with recovery and creativity because I'm an author and I've written 2 books and I help people with writing and all kinds of things. I do the runes, I do psychic coaching. So if you want information about meeting me through Zoom, or if you live in the area in person, below is my email and you can write me and ask me about my charges, how I work, and I will answer you. Okay, here we go. This is for entertainment purposes only. And the first thing I want to share with you, because when I was getting ready this morning, put on the makeup and the whole thing, for days now, turning on a little fan, for days now, I keep just having this automatic vision of one of the trials starting, one of the 3 or 4, I've lost count, and Trump is, he has to be there. He can't say, let me know what happens, because we're pretty sure he's not going to take the stand. Nobody thinks he can do that. But I keep seeing him having a fit in the middle of the trial. Swear to God. Where he just explodes because he can't manage himself. It makes him so angry and he's so out of control. It's very disruptive, and he may even have to be removed. So it's very dramatic. We will see, but since it keeps coming back, I wanted to share that with you. It's not hard for me to imagine. And there's a story that I think is so interesting that I'm starting with here. And via ABC, former assistant to Trump at Mar-a-Lago after he was president, Molly Michaels, she was called to the grand jury. She knows a lot. She revealed that 45, I call him 45, gave her to-do notes every day. Tasks. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. On scraps of the official documents that he stole from the archives. Scraps of paper from the documents. And they had classification markings on them. So she shared that with the FBI. And Michaels told investigators that more than once she received requests from Trump that were written on the back of these pieces of paper. And then she later realized that these were sensitive White House materials. And she turned them over, used for briefings, no less. Scrap paper. I mean, it's just galling. But, if we think about it, I don't know that anything should surprise us anymore about Donald Trump, really, because he doesn't have respect for anything or anybody. And when she was called to testify to the grand jury, which he knew about, he said to Molly Michaels, "You don't know anything about these boxes." You don't know anything about these boxes. And that's, of course, more obstruction. But ABC, in their brilliance, commented that it was vague. It wasn't clear what he meant. But I can make it really clear. If the actor Joe Pesci said that line in Goodfellas, it would be totally understood as mob talk. Now, I wish I could do an imitation of Joe Pesci, but just think about him saying, you don't know anything about the boxes. So there you go. It was mob talk. And of course, she told the truth. This young lady told the truth. All right, now we're moving on to a big story of the week where we saw on Sunday Kristen Welker, the new host of This Week. No, it's not This Week. You know what? I have such notes in front of me. You cannot believe it. What was the name of the show with Chuck Todd? I like all this research, and I'm not writing the name of the show down. Okay. It's not This Week because that's on ABC. Maybe I'll think of it like while I'm talking, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. So during this, most people described it as a failed interview, that Kristen Welker did not call him out on any of his lies. It wasn't fact-checked, and the show was edited where they could have inserted comments, et cetera, et cetera. So largely, people were very, very angry about it. They were disappointed in her. She must have had one horrible night, Sunday and Monday, because she really took a licking. But Donald, in this, one good thing came out of it. In the interview, she did keep leading him and asking him, and he came out and basically admitted this whole January 6th was my idea. And it's on tape now, and it's what it's what Jack Smith gets to, he's talking about the big lie, that it wasn't his attorneys. So he's been saying all along, well, I just listened to my attorneys. I listened to my attorneys, and that's what was going to end up in court. But no, we now have it on Meet the Press. Thank you very much, my left ear. Meet the Press, where he said, my idea, pound the chest. So he took full responsibility. This is a really good thing. So if this is the one thing that came out of this terrible interview, embarrassing interview, that's a good thing. Now, my left ear believes that right now, Jack Smith, he really kind of has everything he needs, but he's so detail oriented and he's so not wanting to give an inch that it could go in another direction. He just keeps working, and his team, his fabulous team. Now, during the interview, Kristen Welker kept referring to Trump as Mr. President. This enraged me, and from what I read on Twitter and everything, it enraged a lot of people. Now, I had a thought, might have been my left ear, that he made an agreement to do this interview and insisted that she call him Mr. President. Now, I was talking with a Twitter friend, and we both agreed that if that had been enforced on us, we would have walked and not done the show. But she did, and it was awful to hear her saying, Mr. President, Mr. President. And he may have really put that into a contract and said, I will not do this unless she doesn't call me Mr. President. Very nauseating, and he steamrolled her. But this one good thing came out of it. Then here's just something personal. All over Twitter and even on the Today Show, people were just praising her fellow pundits, her fellow broadcasters, journalists, praising. And it was kind of, like gag me. But my left ear said, oh, the top brass at NBC and MSNBC they sent out a communication. And maybe it wasn't through email because they could get caught, but they sent out a communication asking all of these people, Stephanie Ruhle and Willie Geist and on, to praise Welker and what a triumph this was, and it was great work. And I'm ending this little diatribe by saying, where's the common sense? Where's the common sense? Not one person has succeeded in interviewing Donald J. Trump. Not one person. Man, woman, nothing. So why would Kristen Welker? And especially, just for optics, and I'm 5'2", so I'm little, especially like a sort of tiny, delicate woman, it's not great for optics. Now, this is not racism. This is not sexism. This is optics and who can go toe-to-toe with him. Maybe Jim Acosta, maybe Mehdi Hassan, but we're dealing with, a dementia patient who lies and lies and says insane things. Last week he said he was running against Obama. And last week he said Biden was going to start World War II. And we've had World War II already. So, hello, bye-bye. All right, now we're missing common sense. That's my point. Now we're moving on. And this UAW strike in Detroit, I'm really feeling for these people that are striking. Will it resolve in 23? So that gives us about 3 months. I asked the runes. So interesting. I got the rune of Gateway in the reversed position, and I got it twice. All right. It's not great. Gateway reversed. So I'll just share it with you. There is a quickening of development here, meaning it's getting more intense. There may be even times of accelerated growth. You will have reason to halt. That'll be the meetings. And can reconsider the old. It's about integrating the new. All right, so that kind of describes the strike. Take advantage of these halts and conversations. If you are undergoing difficulties, the nature of your passage depends on the quality of your attitude. These people are very determined who are striking. It cautions and says, make sure you're not suffering over your suffering. Keep the intention very clean. Hasty decisions or decisions made out of fear may cause regret. Impulses must be tempered, because I can't imagine how angry these people are, that the CEOs are making gobs of money. And there was a woman interviewed, part of this strike, UAW. She had not had a raise in 13 years. Yes, you heard me right. All right, so now the second rune, it's actually the third rune, because we got Gateway reversed twice. So then now this is the final rune. I got Strength in reverse. That means not strong. So it says, without ears to hear or eyes to see, you may fail to take advantage of the moment. That could be the brass that are controlling these people, the heads of these companies. There could be a missed opportunity, a weakening of position. Your own strength may be used against you. This rune in reverse, Strength, serves to alert and offers clues in the form of minor failures. For those who are deeply unconscious, it may be a jolt. This rune calls for serious thought and introspection. Take heart. There is constant cycling of death and rebirth. Do not draw back from the passage, people, strikers. When in deep water, become a diver. That's what it says. Now, I'm just going to tell you that this reading makes me think that their strike may go into 24. I hate to say that. And I do want you to know I don't know for sure. But the reading makes me look at a very difficult passage, and it may, because my question was specifically, will it end before the end of the year? I don't think so. And I feel really bad for these people. And then I told you about the woman who hadn't had a raise in 13 years. That's mind-blowing. And then I saw a presidential candidate that I literally can't stand, Tim Scott. Tim Scott thinks that the UAW should go back to work. That's simple. Go back to work. What, they want less hours? Well, we don't know how many hours they're working. Less hours means they may go from 13 hours down to 10. Okay, so we don't know. We're thinking, or he's inferring, that maybe they would just want to work a 6-hour day. I seriously doubt it, my friends. All right. So Tim Scott. And while I'm on Tim Scott, let me just say, he put out a tweet this week that said, believe it or not, I have a live Christian girlfriend. Those were the words. I wrote them down. I have a live Christian girlfriend. And I want to say, you know what? It's better than a dead Christian girlfriend. Sorry, that's my dark humor. And then he put out a second tweet, because I commented on that. Like, who says they have a live girlfriend or boyfriend? I mean, come on. And then, Shakespeare had a line that was something like this. I think thou doth protest too much. Shakespeare. All right, then he put out a second, and he says, I have a lovely Christian girlfriend. So it went from live to lovely. That's good. And Tim is for an across-the-board federal ban on abortion, despite that the percentages of people, even conservatives, think it should go back to being available. And a friend of mine who's very, very bright, and she even works in medical at Stanford University. Honestly, she's one of the smartest people I've ever encountered. She thinks he's on the autistic spectrum. I'm just letting you know what she has observed. And she says there's no there. All right, I'm going to continue on with questions. Runes. Will there be a government shutdown? This is very scary. This is coming up in the next 2 weeks or less. I don't know the date. Unfortunately, I got strength reversed. But stay with me on this, because something interesting happens at the end of the reading, okay? Don't go away. And strength reversed. Without ears to hear, eyes to see, you may fail to take advantage of the moment. That would clearly be the GOP, because they would be causing this. Could be an opportunity missed, a weakening of your position. Your own strength may be used against you, meaning that if the GOP caused it, we could blame them. It serves to alert us of failures. Could be minor, could be bigger than minor. And for those who are deeply unconscious, this would be, the GOP. It may be a jolt, the reverberations from them causing this. So this rune calls for very serious thought, introspection. This is not features that people in the GOP have, thought and introspection. But once again, this rune, strength reverse, says, take heart. There is a constant cycling of death and rebirth, and I have to agree with that. That's the truth in life. Do not draw back from this passage. To us, it says, when in deep water, become a diver. So we have very strong people in the Democratic Party and in Congress, and they're working on this already. Well, then I got the blank rune, which is unknowable. Thank you very much. Blank is the end, blank is the beginning. It's a rune of total trust. Oh, that's easy for you to say, right? And should be taken as exciting evidence of our true destiny. I just blew up the screen again. You guys are probably sick of this, but thank you for your patience. And this is a rune of total trust. Should be taken as exciting evidence of our true destiny, which this is relevant, which rises like the phoenix from the ashes of what is called fate. It does portend a symbolic death. It may relate to some part of our life that is no longer applicable. It advises relinquishing control, which is the ultimate challenge. But in the blankness, and it does say this, there is potential, undiluted potential. So the Democrats just have to keep moving forward in this unknowableness, in this blankness with faith. There are forces that are moving unseen in the background. So Odin is this rune is an invitation to just sit in the emptiness while we work and create. And then this interesting rune came up. Breakthrough. And the minute I pulled breakthrough, I went, oh, okay. Like in a lot of these where, oh my God, the government's going to shut down, Social Security, loss of billions. Breakthrough said to me, because breakthrough is the warrior, all right? And I went, oh, okay. At the last minute, and that would be like previous times, this is going to shift. It's going to transform. And for some, the transition is going to be very radical, and they are not going to be able to live their life in the ordinary way. But breakthrough, let me just read this to you because it's really neat. The rune is called Dagaz, D-A-G-A-Z, and it represents the bright warmth of the sun as it breaks through the final barriers, illuminating the true inner self. It speaks of prosperity, of being able to break through that which held us back from progression. So it advises, keep your balance, Democrats. Use your instincts as a major period of achievement and prosperity is introduced. So I don't know. I do know. I think it's not an accident that breakthrough came in as the third rune. That it's sort of, I went, okay, bad, doubtful, bad, breakthrough. And this is, we'll see. It doesn't look good. I admit that. But when I get that last rune after two dark runes, I went, well, I've got to pay attention to this. So let's see. Now we're moving on because I have a lot of stuff today. Next rune. What's the energy around a Biden impeachment? Now, my left ear doesn't think it can go anywhere. And it's been thinking that, for over a week or however long. But Jill Wine-Banks, who is attorney in the Watergate, she's wonderful. She's part of that podcast with 4 female attorneys. That's just brilliant. Sisters-in-law. She wrote, GOP to hold the first impeachment hearing next week. And they are trying to subpoena Hunter Biden's bank records. And she wrote, problem is, you need probable cause for a warrant. And there is no probable cause for Congress to do that. So Jill Wine-Banks knows her stuff. And then I pulled one rune, just one rune. And I got on behalf of Joe Biden, I pulled this rune. And you know what I got? I got wholeness. And that just feels like a great rune for Joe Biden, wholeness. And it says, after traveling through the entire set of runes, we come to wholeness, that which our nature requires. And that is something that Biden is always seeking. It's obvious to me. He seeks wholeness and balance. That's how he lives his life. It's an impulse towards self-realization. It represents the wholeness to which we all belong and are connected. So then, speaks of basking in the glory of the sun's rays. This is another one. And it says, through wholeness, a new, stronger, more solid, and higher foundation is created. They're going to fail with this impeachment. So it's just, in the words of our beloved president, I think he's beloved. Not perfect, but beloved. It's a non-starter, but they're going to posture and they're going to put on a play, okay? But keep this in mind. Wholeness. They're not going to get anywhere. Now we're kind of getting close to wrapping it up. I'm going to touch on Mark Meadows, who's such a dull guy, but he's been such a criminal with this whole thing. He perjured himself. He went to D.C., I'm pretty sure it was in D.C., and he took the stand to testify why he shouldn't be in the RICO group and he should be in, I think, Washington, D.C., or just the federal, to be charged by the federal government, which also can be done in Georgia. This is my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are really good about correcting me, so feel free. Just don't be nasty, okay? He said he perjured himself when he said that he had nothing to do with the fake electors. He said under oath, no, I did not. And that is not accurate. He lied. He perjured. It's going to get him in trouble. Also, Meadows was connected to the Willard Hotel activities with Bannon, Stone, Giuliani, etc. All right, so you have to be pretty guilty to be anywhere near that Willard war room, all right? Now, keep an eye out on the news programs. I think Rachel Maddow, others, because Meadows' former assistant, Cassidy Hutchinson, who gave incredible testimony in front of the committee. I mean, she was a deal breaker. She was so effective. She's going to be appearing on these shows because I think she wrote a book, or a publisher, you know, had ghostwriters. I definitely don't want to insult her. She's a very bright girl. But I think this is about a book. Could be a very interesting book. And I'm happy for her. I hope she makes money. She's been through hell. So you know that Nancy Pelosi is running again for the House. Gates threatens, I say threatens on purpose, that he's going to run for governor of Florida in 26. And my left ear immediately came in and said, well, he's going to be in legal trouble by 25 because he's one of the coup plotters, planners. He's super, uber guilty. So I have doubts about that. But that's what he's saying. That's what he's posturing. And my left ear said he's going to be indicted before 2026. So there we go. And you probably saw, or maybe you didn't see the footage, it was pretty disgusting, of Lauren Boebert in the audience for Beetlejuice with a male date. And they started groping and having all kinds of sexual contact. You know, she was in his crotch and he was all over her boobs. They were hanging out. She was vaping, and a pregnant woman in front of her asked her to please stop vaping. She was very mean and nasty to the pregnant woman, who asked her twice politely. There were children and they were loud. She and her boyfriend or boy toy or whatever were loud. So officials came and removed them from the theater so people could have peace and watch the show. And of course, she said that classic line that famous people often say, do you know who I am? I don't know why. I mean, it's like never, never, never say that. Never say that. But she said it. So in Colorado, they have pretty strict laws about public indecency, lewdness, and she could be charged. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't, do a deep dive into what the charges could be, but there could be lewd public conduct. There could be something about behavior around children. But I asked the runes, just one rune, And I got movement. And that says, yeah, Boebert, be prepared to face the future. Well, now she's on this rehab campaign. And she wrote, I lost my values for a moment. And I wrote, what values? And everybody, loved it. What? She had values? She has values. And now coming to the end, I've seen a lot of footage and photos recently of Joe Biden riding his bike with his helmet, and he's really trekking. He's stretching his quad muscles, getting further than I normally do. And it's very clear he's just presenting how fit he is, how he has, what is the word? It's not tenacity. It's when you can go long distances, So he's showing his strength. And my left ear has told me a number of times he's going to live up to 90 or even a little past that. I've gotten that a number of times. So the feeling is he's okay to be president for 4 more years. And because I got a little too over on time, I want to share with you that my next video, my left ear video, I am going to talk about Russell Brand. I'm going to talk about, with runes, I'm going to do Hunter Biden and jail. And I'm going to cover Ken Paxton, the very, very corrupt attorney general in Texas, who just got acquitted. And he's so filthy, dirty. I mean, he's such a criminal, but he is up on other charges, okay? And then I'm going to go into Jared's billions and what's next. Couldn't quite get to all of it, but I'm going to cover that. I've got notes, and I just wanted to let you know. And Russell Brand, everybody's, his agents are dumping him. His book publishing is dumping him. He was scheduled for appearances. They've dumped him. It's very bad for him right now. Okay, I've been like a locomotive here this morning. In terms of good evidence, I just want to say that Mercury retrograde is over. We might still be in a little bit of a shadow period because it ended on the 15th, as far as I know. But it's over. And this one, I don't know about you guys, but this one was brutal. And it was brutal everywhere I went. It was brutal. I had a doctor's appointment, and when I went there, there was a really crazy energy in this nice medical facility. And when I got into the room and the nurse was going to take my blood pressure, she said, you know what happened? All our computers went out. And we're all going crazy today. I went, oh my heavens. I told her about Mercury retrograde. And then my wallet was stolen during Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is over. Things should go a little more smoothly for all of us, and even for the government and, the threats. And then here's just a weird quote. It's political. Donald J. Trump was the Whitey Bulger of presidents. Do you know who Whitey Bulger was? He was like the most notorious gangster, and he ran Boston. I mean, he was feared. He was a killer. He was just a major psychopath. And he went on the run successfully for years and years and years and years. He had a girlfriend, and they were in an apartment in Santa Monica. I know where these apartments are in Santa Monica, and he lived there under the radar with his girlfriend for years. So the movie, which is a really good movie, but it is violent, called The Departed, with Matt Damon and Jack Nicholson and some other people that I can't think of, but it's a really good movie, and it was based on Whitey Bulger. So if you want to know who Whitey Bulger was, you could watch The Departed, a very scary guy. He did at an old age end up in prison, and I think he got murdered there. I'd have to check that. and his girlfriend, I think she got out, I'm not sure. All right, so now I'm going to come back with a Patreon, and I know what my Patreon's going to be. It may be difficult tomorrow because I have a couple of appointments, but definitely Thursday I'll have a new entertaining Patreon. And for those who don't know, you can go to my Patreon and sign up for $8 a month, and you can quit anytime you want. So it's like going to a movie. If you don't want to see any more movies, you stop it. And I want to thank a few people who just signed up for Patreon. I'd like to think it's entertaining, informative. Part of my next Patreon is I'm going to discuss the word no and why it is so hard for people to say no. And I have a fairly unique take on it that I've never heard from anybody else. So tune in, you know, because most people have a hard time saying no. I think I have the secret. Alrighty, my friends, make peace, make good memories. It was good visiting again. Thank you for your patience, and I'll see you soon. You know, I've got these 2 lamps here because my ring light died. So I'm trying to get as much light in here as possible. So that's why you're seeing this thing. But I am going to get another ring light. That's the explanation. Okay, bye-bye.